Okay, hello everyone. Ouch. Hello everyone. Welcome to our segment on attachment. So I'm gonna give folks some time to get on board. I hope everyone has had a great day. Again, we're continuing our discussion on attachment. We didn't really ask any questions today. I did post a video, or a link for you all to take an attachment style quiz. It'd be just good information for you to take. I don't need to know your I don't need to know your scores or anything like that. If you want to share it, that's great. If not, it's okay. But we want to talk about attachment tonight and how important attachment style is. So we're going to give folks a few minutes to get on board. But just saying good evening to everyone. Hope everyone had a great day. We're just giving folks some time now to get on board so that we could talk about attachment. Okay? Attachment. What is attachment? We're going to talk about that on tonight. Yes, and thank you. The link is posted for those who want to take the attachment style quiz. It is posted on this video, so definitely excited about that. Okay, so we're going to get started in a few moments. We're running a little bit behind, but we're going to get started because we want to kind of talk about attachment and how it impacts us in our lives. So often we think that, insecurity is just a feeling, or whatever we're going through is just a moment, or it's just happening because there's something that happened. But sometimes how we interact with other people can be a form of our attachment, what we learned as children and how it impacts us moving into our adulthood. So definitely excited about folks who are joining, and I always appreciate folks who share the video. So if you have the capacity to share, you're more than welcome to share. We're going to be talking about attachment style on tonight. So I am so excited about everyone being on board. Just looking forward to talking about attachment. And, if you have questions that come up for you, then definitely reach out. We're definitely excited to continue this discussion, okay? We're going to get started in like 1 minute, okay? So we're going to give folks some time to get on. If they don't get on, we're going to go ahead and get started. Why? Because this video will be available for you all after we drop this live. So very excited. Happy, Tuesday to all of you. Hey, Teresina. Hi, Kiki. All right. Hey, Eve. I'm not with you tonight, Eve. I told you I'm not doing this with you tonight. You don't need to be rushing and falling nowhere. Just take your time. It's all right. We on live. We're going to be on here for a few moments, okay? So we are talking about attachment. Did y'all take the attachment style quiz today? That's very important. I hope y'all took the attachment style quiz. Because it helps you. It's not for me. It's for you. It's to help you understand what your attachment style is. Because when you understand what your attachment style is, you will understand. You will be able to understand why your partner or why other people around you can shift your attachment. It's so very important. Some of us we so confused. We don't know what's going on. But we have to learn and understand what the small things are, and that's just attachment. So Eve and Teresina, I need y'all to take the attachment style quiz if you haven't already. Don't do it right now. We're going to talk about it, but it is common. It's posted in the link above. Y'all, I left my water in the back seat, so I'm going to go get it. I know. I need my water. Y'all know how I feel about my water, so I'll be right back. All right. So we are continuing the conversation on attachment. Good, Teresina. I'm so happy you took it. I hope that your results came out well. And if they didn't, it's so much to learn about it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. What is attachment? Attachment can be defined as the relationship between an infant and the primary caregiver. Sometimes we don't understand. I'm freezing. Jax, that's okay. You have time to do it later. It's all right. We're going to talk about it, though, okay? Attachment style can be defined as the relationship between infants and primary caregivers. So attachment starts at a very early age. And we don't realize this sometimes. But attachment starts as early as the mother and the child bond. And so how we respond to our mothers, how we respond to our parents, how we respond to the first folks who, it unfroze, awesome. How we respond to our first caregivers can impact us as adults. It's so very deep, y'all. We're going to go deep tonight. Why? Because if we don't understand attachment, we won't understand our relationships with other people on a daily basis. Some of us are beating ourselves up about relationships. Awesome, Tasha. I'm so happy you took it. Some of us are beating ourselves up about relationships that maybe that person's attachment style was off. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. How attachment styles can help each other, how they can almost hurt each other. So we're going to talk about that. Okay, let's go ahead. So attachment is the way you bond or respond to others' care or love. How do you respond to other people's care? Do you push them away? Do you feel anxious when you're around someone you love? Do you feel secure? Do you feel loved around someone you love? Those things are so very important. Did I come back in? Share the live, y'all. Share the live. I had stepped out of the car to get my water, so I don't know if y'all thought that frozen, but like that was frozen, but I'm here. Let me know if I'm on, because I'll stop and start over. Let me know. Let me know if I'm all right. Anyways, if you're able to share this video, we're going to talk about attachment. It's so very important. And I know I've probably said that 100 times, but we have to have this conversation. Why? Because it's important to understand your attachment and how you relate to other people, how you connect and how you respond to other people's care and love. Okay? All right. I'm good now. All right. So attachment starts in childhood. The mother-child attachment relationship sets the tone for how people view themselves. Y'all, it's real. How your parents, hi Lolita, how your parents and you respond or connect to each other as children can impact how you look at yourself as an adult, how your self-esteem is. It can impact your expectation of others. It can impact your ability to attract and maintain healthy relationships. So often in life, we're beating ourselves up about us not being able to connect with this person or that person. And it may not have been because we're these horrible people, but our attachment style, how we learned attachment, how we learned to grow to other individuals as children when we were not able to respond verbally, that impacts us as adults. Did y'all know that? I knew it, but I think that it's really good to have a reminder. And for those who did take the attachment style quiz, I want to know, were you amazed at your responses? Were you shocked? Or were you confident that that was going to be? Were you confident that you knew how the quiz was going to go for you? I believe when I took the quiz, I did it yesterday to kind of see if it worked. I got anxious. So a lot of folks got secure on today, and I got anxious, and I wasn't alarmed by that. It was good to know that. So when you know your attachment style, you're able to communicate with your partner what you need in order to be fulfilled. See, and oftentimes in relationships, we don't know what we need. We don't know what it is that makes us feel more secure. So we feel we have a difficulty explaining ourselves. And when we have that difficulty explaining ourselves, we are not able to have successful relationships because we don't know what it is that we need to feel secure. We feel like in order for a person to feel secure, they got to cut off all their friends and they got to do all these other things that may not be necessary. Sometimes in order to feel secure, you may just need your partner to hold your hand. And understanding that roots into knowing your attachment style. Did you know that? It's powerful. Eve said, I wasn't surprised. Tasha, you were surprised? I wasn't surprised. I know that I'm a pretty anxious person. For folks who may know me, I'm pretty anxious when it comes to attachment style because I have this fear of people leaving, and recognizing that it's important because attachment styles can change with different people. This is so very good, y'all. Attachment styles are versatile. So if you're around an insecure person and you're secure, that may have the capacity to shift you into an insecure place. And you'll find yourself like, wait a minute, that's not who I am. That's not what you'll find yourself confused. Like, I don't understand why I feel this way with this person. And that's because their attachment style can draw something else out of you. So you may be secure as an individual, as a single person, but in relationship with someone who's avoidant, you may find yourself dismissive. You may find yourself hurting other people. And you like, this is not who I am. But it's so important that you recognize that attachment styles can impact your relationship with others. And we're going to talk about that, okay? So there are so many different types of attachment styles, okay? And it's important for us, before we get into that, to know the root reason why we think the way we do, the root cause. Why do we think the way we do? Hey, Esperanza. Why do we think the way we do? Why do we respond to people the way we do? Why do we love and push away people the way we do? Why is it so easy to cut somebody off? Why is it so easy to turn a deaf ear to somebody that you say you love? And it could be rooted in our attachment. It could be rooted in how we were brought up and how we responded to our parents, how we responded to other children, how we responded to people that we loved in our childhood. It could be rooted in that. And oftentimes, this is what's so very important about attachment. As children, we can't communicate what it is that we need. And so if we grow up insecure, if we grow up avoidant, if we grow up with some of these attachment styles that are different than secure, then we're not able to communicate that as adults because we don't know what is going on the inside of us. We just know that we don't feel secure. And so this is so very important. And tonight is just a teaching moment. Why? Because we're teaching on the importance. So folks who, thank you, Tasha. I was just about to say it. Folks who have not taken the quiz after this video, take the quiz, understand what your attachment style is, and then do some research on how you can connect. If you're dating someone right now, have your partner take the attachment style quiz so you all know how to function with each other. Oftentimes, we're in places where we don't know how to communicate with each other because we don't know each other's attachment style, and we're too busy arguing with everybody. We don't know how to have a healthy conversation. You can have a healthy conversation with someone who's insecure. You can have a healthy conversation with someone who's avoidant or ambivalent. You can have a conversation with someone who has a different attachment style to you, but there's a strategy to it. And in order to understand that strategy, you got to know what your attachment style is. So I want to encourage everyone to take the attachment style quiz because it's going to help you have better relationships, not just with a partner, but on your job with your supervisor. Your supervisor may have an anxious attachment style, but knowing your attachment style, you can now understand how to deal with other people in other relationships and business relationships and work relationships and all kinds of relationships. Is very helpful. And it's only 18 questions. So it's not going to be exhausting. You could take it in maybe 5 minutes. If you answer correctly, it'll be a accurate result and you'll be able to see what is happening in your life that transforms how you respond to people's care and love. I hope this makes sense for you all. So we're going to go into what type of attachment styles there are. One, there's the secure attachment. Now, when a person is secure, and I noticed that a lot of people posted their result as secure today, which is great. For folks who did not post as secure, I want to be transparent. My result was anxious. And so for folks who did not openly put that out there, that's okay. You don't have to have a secure attachment style to be a healthy person, right? But it can help you know how to deal with other people in a healthy way and have a healthy response when you understand your attachment style and recognizing that it can change. So for folks who are joining, I want you to share this video, and I also want you to take the attachment style quiz so you understand your attachment, and you'll be able to bring this home to your partner. You could do the attachment style quiz with your mama or your cousin and them. You could do the attachment style with family, because as adults, you need to understand how you attach and how you bond and how you connect to people's love. Okay. Okay. So secure attachment. What are some qualities of a secure attachment style? You feel safe. You develop meaningful connections with others. You explore life more freely. You don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so afraid to do this. Or you don't feel like you have to avoid certain things because there's a fear behind it, but you explore life more freely. When you are secure, you handle stress less. You handle stress better. When you are secure, you balance your emotions in a healthier manner. So you're not just blowing up on people. You're not just cussing folks out for no reason. You are able to understand and channel your emotions because you understand your attachment style. And oftentimes in a secure relationship, you're able to communicate effectively. You're able to move in a way that is secure, not only secure, but is healthy. It's a way that would produce a life and not negativity. Okay. When you are secure, you're able to balance your emotions. You're able to experience comfort and security. You're able to experience and not just give comfort and security to other people, but you're able to experience it. When you are secure, you can easily make sense of life. You are able to navigate through concerns and problems. And believe it or not, our attachment style can impact how we respond to situations that come up, how we respond to trials, how we respond to pain, how we respond to death, how we respond to so many things. Because of my sometimes anxious, avoidant, attachment style, I lost a very near dear loved one. My aunt passed away at the age of 38 in 2009, and I avoided dealing with her death. And it pained me more. And I don't know if you all have ever experienced avoiding things in life or having anxiety about it, so you don't want to deal with it, because that definitely impacts your outlook on life. And it is due to, a lot of the times it's due to your attachment style. It's due to what you were taught as a young kid. And a lot of us don't remember our childhood, but it's so important that we recognize the patterns of our life, because when we understand the patterns of where we've been, we can kind of deal with that in a different way. Okay? So when you are a secure person, you're able to create positive memories and expectations of relationships. So you're not putting this great demand on a relationship where you need to do this because this, and we're not blaming all that stuff. We're going to get into that in a minute. But we're going to talk about like how attachment styles affect. Yes, I'm not going to preach today, but I definitely want to let you all know. Attachment styles affect how we talk to people. It affects how we navigate around life situations and life struggles. It impacts so many parts of it. It impacts how we raise our children. It impacts that. If we have an insecure attachment style and we're avoiding our children, then we're not able to raise healthy, secure children. So we're just raising another product of who we are. That's why it's so important. Yes, the goal is to get to a place of secure, to get to a place that you're secure. But for those who may not have been on a level or may not be on a level of security yet, I'm still anxious and insecure depending on the relationship I'm with. It's so important that we understand how to navigate that. And there are researchers out there that will help you. If you are an avoidant person, if you have an avoidant personality, or if you have an anxious personality, this is what you can do to become more secure. And a part of that is surrounding yourself with people who are secure. And so often we would be insecure and we're dating folks that are avoidant and we're clashing like we don't know what. And it's a big mess. And we think that the relationship went bad because this person was whatever. But the relationship may have gone bad because we didn't understand each other's attachment style. And we didn't know how to compliment each other. We didn't know how to help each other. We didn't know how to get into a place where we were supporting one another. We started fighting against each other. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone and y'all like this? Y'all just clashing. Every time something, y'all arguing over hot dogs and arguing over stuff that don't even matter. And you're like, what in the world is going on in this relationship? It's so important for folks who are in a relationship to understand that you have to understand your partner and your attachment style so you all can complement each other and move in a better place. We're going to talk about that. Okay? So we're going to move on. I got some information for y'all today. So we're going to talk about there's so many different types of attachment styles, right? And so we're going to get into that, okay? I talked about secure already, but we're going to go into how does a person become secure? How does the relationship start as a parenting, as the parents raising the child, and how does the person end up as an adult based on their attachment style, okay? Lolita says, it starts to get good. I have to go back to, okay, well, you have a good evening, Lolita. We'll be back. Just join us later. Watch the video later. Have a good evening at work. And I know you will be hitting me up soon. So thank you so much for just tuning in. I appreciate you. Okay. Tasha says, sometimes it's just a relationship. Oh, right. Sometimes a relationship isn't for us. I'm not saying that at all. Sometimes we just not flat out supposed to be with someone. Right. I'm not blaming attachment on everything, but I'm also recognizing for folks who come together in love or what they felt like was love, there is ways that relationships can be moved into a healthy place by understanding the facets behind attachment. So definitely it's a balance between that. So I don't want nobody to take away, the reason why my partner is abusive is because my attachment style. No, that's not a healthy relationship. That's a toxic relationship. We want to put that out there. That is toxic, and 9 times out of 10, that may not be the best relationship for you. But if you're in a relationship where there's a difference between toxic and abusive and unhealthy. Unhealthy relationships can be changed and transformed into secure relationships. Abusive relationships cannot. So we want to put that fine line right there, okay? All right. Thank you for bringing that out, Tasha. I really appreciate that. Okay, so a secure attachment style. The parent is aligned with the child. In tune with the child's emotions. Okay? So a person who experiences a secure attachment style may have had parents who were aligned with the child and in tune with the child's emotions. So when you cry, the parent may not have responded and picked you up every single time, but the parent may have attended to you and sang to you and did some things. And so as an adult, people who are secure tend to create meaningful relationships, be empathetic. This is important, y'all. Empathetic. having empathy for people. That's so very important. Being able to set appropriate boundaries comes with being secure. Y'all, this is real. Some of us can't set boundaries because we're so afraid the person will leave our lives that we'll keep ourselves in a bondage place. We'll keep ourselves in a place where we're not okay to make the other person feel happy, and that's not okay. Oh, Eve, I told you I can't deal with you, okay? I cannot deal with you, but I appreciate your point. So we're going to move on, okay? So as a secure person, right? You are able to create meaningful relationships, okay? You're able to create meaningful relationships. You're able to have empathy for people, and you're able to set appropriate boundaries. That's good, okay? Avoidant. What is avoidant? Avoidant, the parent of an avoidant child. Yes, I will explain setting boundaries. Don't let me forget that before we get off this video, okay? We'll go into that. And we also did a teaching on that. So definitely go back to our lessons on the Robin Beck page. We did talk about that, but definitely I'll address that tonight. So Teresina, don't let me forget. So the avoidant attachment style, the parental style, a parent must have been unavailable or rejecting. So now as an adult, when you have an avoidant attachment style, you tend to avoid closeness or emotional connection. You become distant. Oh, here's one. You become critical. You become rigid. You become intolerant. Avoidant. Avoidant. A-V-O-I-D-A-N-T. Avoidant. So when you have an avoidant attachment style, your parents may have been unavailable or rejecting. So these are for folks, we talked about rejection the other week. These are for folks who may have felt like or had experienced a rejection from your parents, or your parents may have been unavailable. They could have lived in the same house and ignored you. Oftentimes, people who experience avoidant attachment become avoidant of close relationships. They don't want people close. They push people away. We avoid the sense that somebody may actually love us because we didn't experience that in a childhood. And we avoid emotional connection. We avoid all of those things, and we become distant. We become cruel to people. We become critical. Oh, why is she doing that? We become really nasty. We become rigid and intolerant. We have no patience or tolerance for anything. That is a part of an attachment style. And this is not just us in relationships. This is us, some of us on our jobs. This is how some of us are on our jobs. We are avoidant. Instead of dealing with things, we will avoid certain things, and we would add problems, and we become critical, and we would always complain about stuff and be in a position where we can't help nobody because we can't help ourselves. It's important that you understand the root of that so you can undo that root and plant new seeds, plant new secure seeds. Understand where it rooted in so that you can be better. Okay? All right. So ambivalent can be the same as anxious. I know. Me. I'm gonna probably step on my own toes. I'm gonna have to, say ouch and keep moving, right? But the parental style of an avoidant, or anxious or ambivalent person is inconsistent and sometimes intrusive parenting communication. So your parents are either inconsistent, so they one way, they're flexible. Like one time they're really close and loving, the next time they're really avoiding and they're really different towards you or indifferent towards you. And that can cause, as an adult, hey Dolores, that can cause a child to be anxious, insecure. Oh, y'all need to hear this. Controlling, blaming, erratic, unpredictable, and sometimes charming. So there's a balance. Sometimes they're charming and the other times they're unpredictable. But some of us are in relationships with people who are ambivalent and they're anxious, and their insecurities lead to them being controlling and blaming and erratic and unpredictable. And we're finding ourselves in positions where we don't know what to do because we don't know what caused the person to be like that. That is connected to attachment. Hear me. Y'all, I need y'all to hear me tonight. Attachment is real. It's deep. Like, people don't talk about it, but it's deep. It impacts how we deal with people on a regular basis. It impacts how we have daily relationships with people. Are you controlling? Are you blaming? Are you erratic, unpredictable, and then sometimes charming? Then that may be a sign that you have an ambivalent, anxious attachment. And the beauty of that is as you understand your attachment, hey, Annette, As you understand your attachment style, you now, hey B, as you understand your attachment style, you're able to, thank you, Dolores, for reading up on it. You're able to connect the dots and understand how you can become more secure. Sometimes in order to be more secure, you got to cut some folks off. Sometimes in order to move into a secure place, you got to let some folks go. You got to say, wait a minute, you got to go because I'm feeling out of my element. I'm starting to do things that's out of my character. I got to let you go. Sometimes in order to connect to your greater attachment, and the goal is to be secure. But in order to get to that place, you have to let some things go. Some relationships got to go. Some people got to get cut off. Some things, some conversations got to stop. Some jobs got to be, you got to start transitioning your job somewhere else. You have to start doing some stuff to let yourself heal and grow and be better. Attachment is real. All right. So an ambivalent person, an ambivalent / anxious person is anxious and anxious and insecure, controlling, blaming, erratic, unpredictable, and sometimes charming. Okay? How do you let people in? Can you ask that in another way? I want to answer your question, and that, but can you ask, like, how do you let people in? Like, do you mean like when you're closed out to people, how do you let them in? Can you rephrase that so that we can answer that question? Because I want folks to answer that question as well. Okay? All right. So we're moving now into disorganized attachment style. Disorganized. A person can have a disorganized attachment style when they are ignored or they were not seen as a child. The parental behavior could have been abusive or frightening or traumatizing. So that's when a person becomes disorganized. And how does that impact them as an adult? As an adult, you become chaotic, insensitive, explosive, abusive, untrusting, even while craving security. So the person is craving security, but doesn't know how to receive security. So they would become chaotic, insensitive, explosive, abusive. Some of us are dealing with things right now because of our attachment style, our disorganized attachment style. Some of the most abusive people, we give them the benefit of the doubt because they're abusive. Yes, we do give them the benefit of the doubt because attachment style can impact that, right? But so very important that you recognize that a person that's chaotic, insensitive, explosive, abusive, and untrusting can be a sign of a disorganized attachment style. And that may not be something. I told y'all earlier that a dysfunctional relationship is different. An abusive relationship is different than an unhealthy relationship. When it gets to the point of abusive, you cannot not be with that person. Why? Because they have to make themselves, they have to want to be better for themselves. So you can't fix them. Even as a secure person, you can't fix them. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how each attachment style plays and prides on each other. Okay? Dolores says, is that a part of gaslighting? Is what a part of gaslighting? I want to make sure I'm catching that right. So Dolores, can you ask that one more time? Is what a part of gaslighting? Is the disorganized? I want to know which attachment style you're talking about so we can answer it accurately. Okay. I apologize for the lighting, y'all. I have my hands full tonight, so I'm gonna try to be in the light. Okay. So Annette says, I'm such a loner. My only friends are at my church and my family. I don't attract or draw people in, and that can be a sign of avoidance, or that could be a sign of anxiety. And you have to look within yourself and say, why is it that I don't draw or attract people in? So if you could do that within yourself even now, you don't have to answer it, but if you could look within yourself and say, why is it? Is it because I'm afraid of being alone? Is it because I'm afraid that something's going to happen? Is it because I don't just want to be hurt, so I avoid it to keep myself from hurting? Some of us we would rather break our own heart than let somebody else break our hearts. And we could attach closely to the avoidant attachment style because we would rather avoid love than to embrace it and get hurt. And recognizing that that's our response to that because we don't know any other way, because that's what we were taught as children. The anxious mistrust. Okay, so the anxious attachment style, you're asking, is it a part of gaslighting? It can be. It can be. It can move into gaslighting. It just depends on the person. But when you talk about abusive, that could be more of a disorganized attachment. B says, I keep my circle small and the only people I let in are family and close friends. And that could be a protective measure for you. That's okay. It's not saying that, we have to let the world in order to be secure. No, sometimes in being secure, you can't let everyone in, because if you let a disorganized person in your life, you may find yourself all over the place and crazy. Some of us want to, let me see if I can move this. Okay. I'm going to just have to hold it. Some of us want to end our lives, and some of us want the suicidality and all that stuff that comes along with certain relationships is because we're attached to people who are just not good for us. Have you ever been around somebody and their energy was so off and you like, something is just not right with this person, and you stay and it gets worse, it becomes worse? It can definitely be a part of that attachment style. It can definitely be a part of who that person is and how they respond to love and care. Tasha, I avoid friendships with people. I don't let people close when it seems they want to start hanging around. And you avoid them. Okay, so you have to look at that avoidance and say, why am I avoiding them? Am I avoiding them? What is the intent? Y'all, we have to look at the intent, because I want y'all to know it's not bad. Right? It's not bad for us to not let a lot of people in. But we have to look at the intent. Why is it that we're not letting people in? Are we not letting people in because it's a fear? Or are we not letting people in because it's safe? When it's not safe, then that could be a sign of a secure attachment. It's not safe for me to let you in because you're not a secure person. And I don't know how to navigate that right now. So it could be okay. But if you're afraid or you have a fear of letting people in, that could be a sign of avoidance. That could be a sign of anxiety or anxious. Thank you, Eve. You just took the words out. Well, you just took the words. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the last one that we're talking about tonight is a reactive attachment. What is a reactive attachment style? I didn't know what a reactive attachment style. I'm about to learn with y'all right now. A reactive attachment style, your parents could have been extremely unattached or malfunctioning. Right? And in the midst of a reactive attachment style, the results as an adult you cannot establish positive relationships, and it often goes misdiagnosed. There are people who cannot establish, and people who fall in the line of like sociopath and stuff like that, who cannot establish healthy relationships because of their reactive attachment style. For those who are just watching, we want to encourage you to share the video so more people can watch, because it's so important. If you have a partner, share this video with your partner, because it's important that you all understand your attachment style. Attached to this, and Tasha, I want to ask you to post the link again so we can have it throughout the video. But we have the quiz that you can take to understand your attachment style tonight, so you know exactly what we're talking about. Okay, so our attachment styles can tell so much. Thank you so much, Tasha. Our attachment styles can tell so much about ourselves. So much about ourselves that we don't even realize it. And we talked tonight about different attachment styles. Okay, so now what we're going to get into, and I'm going to have to put the phone back over here right quick. What we're about to get into right now is understanding how each attachment style can work for or against each other. Okay, so here we go. When you are with a secure person, this is a person, let's say you're in a relationship with someone who is secure and you're secure. So you are secure and your partner is secure. This is how the relationship looks, okay? So the relationship, the partners will be able to communicate effectively, and there will not be signs of dysfunctional communication. When you are with a secure person and you are secure, you have your own internal sense of security, which makes the relationship less self-centered, and it allows greater empathy for the partner's feelings. So when you are secure with a secure person, you're able to flow together and you're able to connect in a way that is secure. There's no self-centeredness. There's no one-sidedness in the relationship. It's literally 100 and 100. Because I know people say 50-50, but it's 100 and 100. Each parties are given 100%, and there's empathy and there's concern for the partner's feelings. There's concern, a sense of reasonableness and fairness in the relationship, and every issue faced in the relationship can be faced together, counting on each other and recognizing that your partner will be there for you. There's a sense of security there. Like, I know that without a shadow of a doubt, my partner has my back, because guess what? They know I have their back. That is how a secure relationship looks when both parties are secure. Does that make sense? Okay, well, I'm transitioning to the next part. I'm gonna go ahead and go to B's comment, and it says, "Weird thing is that I do stand up comedy in front of total strangers. I do something that brings laughter and joy to others, but when I finish, I go back into my show, and that's fine. That could be a safety reason. If it's for safety, that's good. If it's for avoidance or fear, then that may be a sign of a different attachment style. And I want to encourage you to take that attachment style, and I want you to know that, guess what? Your job is a comedian, or that may be a pastime that you do. So that may listen, our attachment styles change with different relationships and different jobs and different things that we have. I have to be an extrovert on my job because I'm a counselor. So I have to be an extrovert. I have to like people. I have to talk to people. I have to be in people's face, right? But in my own personal space, I don't have a lot of people around, because I'm a very, very shelled person. And that's for safety. And that's also because I feel, in some instances, I fear that. And that's my avoidance, that's my anxious attachment style. I want to let y'all know, just because I'm teaching this don't mean I'm all secure. But when I'm around secure people, I'm very secure. Does that make sense? Okay. So the next type of relationship, all right, is when an anxious person is with a secure person. Y'all ready? So when an anxious person is with a secure person, this is what the relationship looks like. All right. So the anxious person will test the patience of the secure person. The anxious person will require more messages of reassurance, edging towards anxiety when the secure person cannot respond quickly. So have you ever been in a relationship with someone and you required them to reassure you often? That could be a sign of anxious attachment. And when you are a secure person in a relationship with someone who's anxious, sometimes you may feel burnt out because you have to give so much assurance to the to the anxious person, and by you giving so much assurance, you're not getting that back, so you're pouring out and never getting back in, so you find yourself depleted. This is how relationships falter. This is how they falter. This is how they shift, because you're pouring out so much of yourself as a secure person, and your insecure partner or your anxious partner is pulling on that, and it pulls you to a place where you feel depleted. And oftentimes when a secure person is with an anxious or preoccupied person, the secure person will become dismissive. So have you ever been in a relationship with someone and you start to shut off from them? Like, you pulling on me too much. I need to shut off. I need to get myself together. Have you ever said that? That could be a sign that you're in a relationship with a person who does not carry the same attachment style as you. Y'all, this is good teaching. I want y'all to share this, right? I want y'all to share this because people need to understand why some relationships don't work. Granted, again, abusive relationships are not helpful, and they're more harmful than helpful. So that has nothing really to do, it has to do with attachment, but when you're in an abusive relationship, that can't be cured. But it's so important that you understand if you're in an unhealthy relationship. So this anxious / secure relationship is very unhealthy, but it can be fixed when you understand your partner's needs. And as the insecure person, you have to teach the insecure person or the anxious person how to cater to their partner's need as a secure person. And it's deep, y'all. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep, but it's good teaching. All right. So going back to the anxious person with the secure person. When an anxious person is with a secure person, the secure person will often feel alone, like they're carrying most of the responsibility for the relationship, and they start to feel emotionally unstable. The preoccupied or the anxious person will begin to have anxiety, and they will begin to require self-centeredness. So they will begin to require more from the partner, and that will make the secure person flake out. So sometimes we wonder why our partners have just checked out of the relationship. It could be that we're pulling on them, especially if we have an anxious attachment style. We could be pulling on our partners in ways that they can't handle because they're secure and they're wanting you to be secure, but you're needing the reassurance from them. And you're burning your partner out, and your partner, both needs are not met at that moment. Can that be fixed? Absolutely. But can it be harmful? Yes, it can. All right. So I hope that made sense. River, I'm really not trying to preach tonight. All right. So we're going to move into how now an avoidant person can attach itself to a secure person. So I don't know if you've ever dated someone who had an avoidant personality, or an avoidant, rather, attachment. or if you've ever been the secure person with an avoidant person, or if you've been the avoidant person with a secure relationship. Okay? So this is how a relationship looks when the partner is dismissive or avoidant and they are in relationship with someone secure. Okay? So the avoidant person will tend to drive the secure partner towards attachment anxiety by failing to respond well to all reasonable messages requesting reassurance. I apologize for that. Let me say that again. The dismissive person will tend to drive the secure partner towards attachment anxiety. So the avoidant person has the ability to now shift the secure person to an anxious place by failing to respond well or at all to reasonable messages requiring reassurance. So the dismissive person or the avoidant person has the ability to change a secure person's behavior. This is so very important, y'all, as we talk about attachment, because I told y'all with different partners, it can shift your attachment style. And if we're not careful and we're with the wrong person with the wrong attachment style, or with an off attachment style, with an attachment style that's different from where we are, we'll find ourselves being pulled on and shifted into an anxious place or a different place. And we're like, wait a minute, this is not who I am. I know some of y'all been there, because I've been there. And I'd have played both parts. I'd have been on the avoidant part, and I've also been on the on the secure part. So in an avoidant / secure relationship, the secure partner can gradually change the insecure partner towards more security if the partner is willing to go there. So the secure person has the ability to change the insecure person, and the insecure person or the avoidant person has the ability to change so it can work both ways. It can work both ways if you're not careful. But it requires work for both parties. And this is why I'm telling you, if you have a partner, you better share this video with them. You need to share this video with them, because you need to understand how your relationship, how your attachment will work for or against the relationship with your partner. So in the avoidant relationship with a secure person, if the dismissive or avoidant person recognizes the problem and takes responsibility, it can gradually change the avoidant partner to a more satisfying place of communication. So it requires work. I'm telling you, these are the dynamics of an unhealthy relationship, not an abusive relationship, but an unhealthy relationship. And this can be fixed, but you have to be educated on knowing what attachment style your partner has, okay? A secure person in this relationship is more likely to give up on the relationship and move on, especially if the avoidant person will continue to be avoidant in the relationship. The secure partner knows that there is somebody better out there. Y'all need to hear me right now. For those who may have avoidant attachment style, you have the ability. Folks wonder why sometimes that their partner walks right clean out the door. And I'm not saying that every time it's because of this attachment dynamic, but sometimes our partners will give up on the relationship if we're not coming together and trying to figure out how to correct the relationship. Yes, and Eve, absolutely. Love languages is very important as well. We're going to talk about that too. Love languages is very important, but attachment style starts at birth. It is who we were born. It is how we were rooted in our birth, how we were taught at birth to love people. So it's deep-seated stuff. So when you recognize your attachment style, y'all got to pick up a book and pick up an article and say, look, I have an anxious attachment style. How can I become more secure? How can I move to a place of security? I need y'all to share this video, because there are people out there who your bosses right now, and people that you live with and work with all the time, that don't know how to treat people because they don't understand their attachment style. They don't understand how it's definitely impacting the relationship that you have with family, friends, work, all of that. All of it is important. All right. So we're moving on. So now we're going to move into what a relationship looks like when you have an avoidant person that's fearful. Because I told y'all, some of us avoid things out of fear. All right? So the avoidant attachment style could take two different approaches. It could be a dismissive approach. The dismissive saying you're pushing people away. And the avoidant is you're pushing people away, but it's more drawn into fear. It's more of an inner concern, right? When you are fearful and avoidant with your partner on who is secure. Okay, that's what we're about to go to. All right, so the fearful, avoidant person will have low self-esteem, and more than likely will exit the relationship when it becomes too intimate and routine. So someone who is fearful and avoidant has the ability to say, you know what, I'm checking out of this relationship because it's too routine, and I fear that this is going to change. So before I allow them to change for me, I'm going to change the relationship, and we'll walk away from stuff prematurely, or walk away from stuff because we're not dealing with ourselves in the relationship. Not just our partners, but dealing with ourselves. That's very important. And I'm gonna take a quick break, right quick. I'm gonna drink some water. But I wanna just kind of check in with folks, because we're gonna get into it. We got about 3 or 4 more relationship dynamics, and then we're gonna go ahead and get off. We want to share this because it's so very important. Okay. And Dolores, absolutely share the video. Hi Bridget. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. It is a great topic. It helps me. I'm learning with y'all tonight. Okay. I'm learning with y'all. All right, so now we're moving into a dismissive, avoidant relationship with an anxious person. Oh my God. So now you have an avoidant person with an anxious person. How is this going to look? We're about to find out. So when you have an avoidant attachment style and you are someone who has an anxious attachment style, we're going to talk about what that looks like. This is a long-lasting yet dysfunctional relationship or pairing, okay? And this could be a relationship with your mama, okay? You and your mama. The 2 types of personality styles or attachment styles create an interlocking dependency of full stress and anxiety. So this relationship is full of stress and anxiety for both parties. Both parties are pulling on their partner for multiple reasons, and it's becoming very dysfunctional. Because the avoidant person may actually prefer to have his or her views of others as needy and clingy, the other partner may find themselves off balance, and the dismissive or avoidant person may settle in the long run. So now you're talking about, is it settling? A person is settling. Are they becoming more dependent? Absolutely, Eve Dallas. It could be codependent. So now you're dependent on not a healthy relationship. You're dependent on a dysfunctional relationship. So recognizing that there's some settling going on, there's some dysfunction going on, there's a lack of communication going on, there's anxiety and stress, high levels of anxiety and stress that's going on in the relationship. Why is that? Could it be the attachment style? I don't know. And that's why it's so important that we understand our attachment styles, so we can move into a place of understanding and knowing each other, understanding how relationships can function in the most positive ways or the most negative ways. The anxious partner is unhappy with settling for crumbs, but sticks around out of fear of being... Y'all, this is good. Let me tell you something. How many relationships have you stuck around because you were afraid of being alone? Now, I'm going to wait for a response right there, because, see, I know that I done stuck in some relationships because I was afraid of being alone, and I neglected my own needs. I moved into a place of anxiousness. I moved into a place of avoidance. I moved into a place where I would rather stay in a dysfunctional relationship than move on to be with something greater. And many of us are dealing with that right now. It happens, y'all. It happens. We just stuck in some relationships because it's dysfunctional relationships that would have killed us if we had stayed there, because we were afraid of being alone, or we were too willing to. We were like, oh well, you know what? I'm just going to avoid dealing with something new, so let me just stay right here. We settle, right? This is what that relationship looks like. You begin to settle. You begin to compromise what it is that you need and what you want for the sake of for the sake of complacency, for the sake of just being in a space where you're like, okay, well, this is what it is. No, that doesn't have to be, y'all. And I believe that, you know, this is a dysfunctional, the avoidant and anxious person are dysfunctional for each other. But it can transition, and both parties can become healthy and secure if they decide to work on themselves. Y'all, I need you to know that you are not going to be able to rescue your partner every time. And some of us are staying in relationships because we are wanting to rescue our partners and make them be something that they're not. We have to give them the autonomy to change and transition their lives, because if they transition and they become their better them, then we can be our better us, and then the relationship can function. But they have to be willing, and you have to be willing to work on yourself first. I just said something. Eve says, I stayed in one because I was ashamed of leaving, because I didn't want people to be right about the person being horrible. Absolutely. We do it all the time. I'd rather avoid hearing these folks' mouth and stay in this relationship than to leave and be happy. Did you know that outside of just the secure relationship, when one partner is secure and the other partner is secure, that is a long-standing relationship. That could be a very healthy relationship, right? The second longest standing relationship is the avoidant / anxious relationship. So there's a whole lot of dysfunctional relationships in this entire world, and we sometimes settle for them because we feel like we can't find that nobody that can better us. If you enter a relationship and it's starting to change who you are, it's starting to change everything about what you talk about, it starts to change who you are becoming slowly, then that is a sign that may be a relationship that, one, may not be the best for you, but two, can be changed if both parties are willing to work on themselves. What happens is you have one person that's working on themselves and the other person sitting around eating Swiss rolls and just chilling, and now you have a really dysfunctional relationship and you find yourself stuck. You can come out of that and you can be in a healed place. You have to be willing to work on yourself, and if your partner loves you and loves themselves, they will be willing to work for the relationship as well. You cannot save everybody. And we stay in relationships oftentimes to save people, when really we should be saving ourselves. That's some good teaching. All right, we got 3 more. So the next relationship is the fearful avoidant. Remember, I told you it's a dismissive avoidant and it's a fearful avoidant. So now you have a person who is avoidant in their attachment, but they're fearful. And you're with someone who is anxious. How does this relationship look? So you have a fearful avoidant person with an anxious person. What does this look like? Okay. It's really unstable. The avoidant person will be less comfortable with the constant request for reassurance from the anxious person. So you got to understand, when someone is anxious, they're requiring their partner to give them reassurance. I need you to understand that. So if your partner is asking, do you really love me? Do you really think I'm fat? Do you really think I'm pretty? All of these things, they're requiring stuff from you that they're not getting within themselves. So that can pull on the relationship. But when you are avoidant, you begin to pull away from that. Like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to reassure this person every day. And that becomes unstable, and there's an imbalance in the relationship. The avoidant partner, if the avoidant partner allows real closeness to develop, that triggers his or her anxiety. They will stay at a distance. Have you ever been with someone who was very distant and you didn't know why? Why are they so distant from me? I love them. I do everything I need to do. I do everything. And they just so distant. Why? It could be because they have an avoidant attachment style. They are avoiding you because they don't want to deal with the hurt. They don't want to deal with the pain. And when you're mixing an anxious person with an avoidant person, you got a train wreck ready to happen. The anxious partner will be unhappy, and they will continue to increase their request for reassurance. Hear me, y'all, because I've played the field on all of these. I've been probably all of these attachments in relationships, because it changes and it varies. And sometimes when we're pulling on people, can you reassure me? Can you reassure me? That is not a sign that they need to reassure you. That is a sign that you may need to reassure you. If you're trying to ask your partner if you're too big, then maybe you should try to go to the gym. And that's not me being funny. If you have to ask your partner if they're pretty, maybe you should try a new regimen for yourself. But there's some things that you have to work in within yourself. And we pull on our partners often. And the things that we're looking for them to give us, we can't even give ourselves. So how in the world can we expect to receive it in the right way? How? How do we know what to receive from our partners if we're not giving it to ourselves? All right. So we moving on. After I had a sip of water. Okay. We moving into anxious. Oh gosh. An anxious person with an anxious person. Oh my God. I don't know what this gonna look like. Let's talk about it. All right. An anxious person with an anxious person. A match that usually ends badly and quickly, as neither partner is good at anticipating the needs of one another. It is not impossible that two mildly people in this capacity will bond, and they will learn to satisfy. There's some folks who can learn to satisfy each other, but it's very hard because you have two people in the relationship now that are requiring reassurance. I need reassurance from you, and they need reassurance. So both people's needs are not met because while you're waiting for your partner to reassure you and you're not being reassured, you're feeling neglected. And so relationships with two anxious people is bound to fail. That's why it's so important that we need to take the time out necessary to get to know one another. Get to know one another in a timely way that we understand. Take the attachment style quiz together. Go on a date night and take the quiz together. But let's learn each other's attachment style. Let's understand where you are and where I am and how I can fulfill your needs while I'm also having my needs met within myself. That's where we fail. We get so caught up on the person in our lives to fulfill our needs, and we stop fulfilling our own needs, and we empty. And what they giving us lasts for but a little bit, but then at the end it falls, and we wonder why we can't be happy. Anxious, y'all. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. Absolutely. It is a lot to think about. And I want you all, for those who haven't shared the video and they're watching, I want you all to share this video. It's so important that we talk about this. Why? Because as we talk about it, we can move into a place of understanding what it is that we need for ourselves. Y'all, I didn't ask y'all to take the compatibility quiz. There's 2 quizzes on that link. There's a compatibility quiz for partners and there's a compatibility quiz for you. The first step is to take the compatibility quiz for you, because when you take that quiz for yourself, you'll understand what it is that you need from your partner. You'll understand from the gate what it is that you need from your partner, but you'll also understand what it is that you need from yourself. And also recognize, and I'm talking about relationships right now as far as intimate relationships, but this can impact us at work. This can impact us at our school. This can impact us with all types of relationships in our lives. Friends, take the attachment style with your friends. Understand why you clash with your friends at certain times and why you all connect at certain times. Understand that. Why? Because it will help you have more meaningful relationships. It'll help you feel safer in relationships. It will help you feel more secure and more prepared for relationships and more positive about relationships, less critical and more excited about moving forward and engaging with people. It impacts you in a positive way when you allow it to work for you. But the first step is to understand the attachment style so you can work on you. You got to work on you. All right, this is the last one. The avoidant person, the fearful avoidant person. So this is a person that fears people leaving them, so they avoid relationships. And the person who is dismissive, who literally shuts down in the midst of relationships. What does that relationship look like? It's very uncommon that these relationships ever even happen. Since neither the avoidant type is very good at positive attachment, both parties are very distant from one another and they usually don't work. It's so important, as we talked about this tonight, to understand, and I'm going to close on out. It's important that we understand why attachment is so important in our everyday lives. How you interact with the bus driver, how you interact with your teacher, how you interact with your supervisor, how you interact with the janitor at the school, how you interact with everyone can be based on your attachment style. So y'all, if you are watching this video or if you share this video and someone else watches it, I want to encourage you all to take the attachment style quiz, understand your attachment style, continue to grow. For those who are anxious like myself, continue to figure out ways that you can become more secure. I figured out my solution. I become more secure when I'm around secure people. So I cannot be around anxious people. I cannot be around avoidant people for too long without understanding how it can impact my future. Thank you so much, Samantha. I really appreciate you. Definitely understanding what it means so we can have more meaningful relationships with people. I want to go ahead and give folks the floor for a second to just comment how folks are feeling. If you are on for the first time, thank you so much for watching. If you're going to watch this at a later date, we appreciate you for watching. We encourage you to share this so other people can understand. We're passing this positive movement so people can understand their attachment style, understand why we connect to people the way we do. It is so very important. So we want to go ahead and close out. I want to give everyone a second to just do a checkout word. If you could just let me know what you're feeling, what you're thinking now that you've understood and listened to this segment. Please comment below what it is that you're feeling. I'm going to read it out loud. So one word of how you're feeling now that you've understood and had to learn some of this stuff on attachment tonight. So I'm going to give y'all a second to comment that, and we're going to go ahead and close out, okay? How are folks feeling? We're checking out. One word checkout. What are you feeling? Important subject. Thank you so much, Dolores. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you, Teresina. Giving folks a chance to respond and say what they understand and what they feel right now as we get ready to check out. Eve says, learn something new and interesting. Thank you for sharing this topic. Absolutely. Learning knowledge is power. We sometimes perish because we don't know. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. We have to understand who we are in order to be better, okay? And that says, I'm crying. I don't know where I fit in. We're going to touch on that in just a second. Encouraged, Dolores said. Encouraged, Bridget said. And so absolutely. Thank you, folks, for joining. I really appreciate you all. Teresina, you asked a question earlier, and then I'm going to deal with Annette's comment. But you asked the question earlier, how do you set better boundaries? And we talked about that just a little bit. We may have to do another segment on it. It's totally okay. But how you set better boundaries, first of all, you got to know what it is that you want. You have to know what it is that you need within yourself. Because when you set boundaries, it's based on what makes you feel okay and what makes you not feel okay. So the first step is saying, you know what? Let's use for an example. I don't like when people call me excessively. You can communicate that is a boundary, but you have to understand what it does for you and why you don't like that. What comes up for you when you communicate that boundary, or why is it that you have to communicate that boundary? And when you are able to know, when you're able to be in tune with yourself, you can communicate boundaries on a healthier level, and you'll be able to have more effective relationships and more effective communication with other people. You could communicate a boundary with the supervisor. Hey, Mr. or Miss Supervisor, I don't appreciate you reaching out to me don't say it like that. Hey, would you mind reaching out to me before 10 o'clock because after 10 I'm asleep? That is a communicated boundary, and you can communicate that in a loving way, but you have to also be in tune with what it is that you want. Sometimes we're unable to communicate healthy boundaries because we don't know what it is we want, and we fluctuate with the wind. So we're communicating boundaries, and then people trying to honor them, and then we getting upset with them. So it's so important that we recognize what it is that we need before we start communicating those boundaries. And right before we go, I want to go ahead and talk to you for a minute, and that let me go back to your comment. You said you're crying, you don't know where you fit in. And this could be something we talk about in the inbox. You're more than welcome to inbox me. But when you say you're crying and you don't fit in, it's so important that you understand. Like, I want to give you first a suggestion and say, take the attachment style quiz. Understand who you are. The reason why sometimes we don't know where we fit in is because sometimes we don't know who we are. And it can be very difficult to tap into who we are when we're listening to societal standards telling us this is what we need to do. This is how you need to look. This is where you need to be. And all these things, and we find ourselves setting high standards for ourselves, and we put ourselves in this box, and we're like, we don't know where we fit in. So I want to encourage you, first of all, to take the attachment style quiz and hit me up. Let's talk, because you can pull through that, and it's okay that you don't understand where you fit in. Some days I don't understand where I fit in, but guess what? I still keep it moving. There's some places I know I won't even fit in anymore, but I know who I am. And that's the importance, is when you know who you are, sometimes those relationships or those places where you want to fit in don't even have to have relevance anymore. Okay, I want to encourage you and love on you for a little bit. I thank you so much for reaching out and even sharing your heart